how many percent of Americans do you think live paycheck to paycheck?
I would say I'm shooting high and saying 80 to 85%, but I'm sure it might even be more than that.
I think like 30%.
Far too many.
Can you add a number to that?
70% maybe?
Probably about 85%.
I think 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. If I had to guess, I'd say 2%.
Oh my god, I have no idea.
Yeah, take a guess.
50%?
I'm going to say 80 to 90.
Right. Well, I'm not from round here, but I see times are hard, and prices are very different. I'm going to go for something along the lines of 40%.
Probably a much higher number than I would hope. I don't know, 40%?
I'm going to go with 36.
36.
That's a good one. I got to say like 60.
Probably like 60, 65.
I think like 70 at closest. It's got to be a lot.
65%. Probably like 47%.
I'm thinking probably about 60%.
29%.
All right, guys, so according to CNBC, it's reported that 58% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck as of April 11th, 2023. I know that is very interesting, guys, with inflation going on and a lot of layoffs out there. Just the kind of economical position the U.S. is in right now. I think it's a very important question to ask and something that's relatable. So you guys keep watching and make sure you like, comment, subscribe.
Because several reasons. Number one, I think it's very difficult to learn how to budget. And where we live in America, the land of used to be the free and the brave, but and we're used to having a lot of things, and we're used to instant gratification. But the other problem is that some of the challenges we have with the political climate is that it's planned for all of the problems we have. And people don't understand the inflation. One of the reasons they think inflation is so high, it's just happening. No, it's because we keep printing money, and that devalues our money. And that's why we have values that have gone, well, they look like they've gone up like real estate, but actually it's the devalue of the dollar by 30%. And that's why I think people are having problems.
I think a lot of people live with beyond their means, so even people that could afford not to live paycheck to paycheck still do, because they're just trying to up their lifestyle, paying for more than what they're actually making, or maybe they're just paying for just enough to make that weekly paycheck but not enough to go into debt.
Have you ever in the past lived paycheck to paycheck? Or
Me?
do you currently live paycheck to paycheck?
I kind of ebb and flow. I have moments where I'm saving a lot and times where I'm not. I would say right now I'm kind of in paycheck to paycheck mode just because circumstantially went through some job changes and location changes, so it made me spend a lot more than I was anticipating. But I think when you're young, you can kind of push those limits. But if the older you get, the more you're approaching retirement, life circumstances might happen. It's dangerous to live like that.
Because we've got a lot of broken systems, and that there's a lot of improvement that we need to do, not just as individuals, but as a whole. I'm a teacher. I just finished my first year of teaching, and I poured like my life into my job all year. I love teaching. I love being with my students, and it was just really unfortunate to feel like I was working nonstop all the time, waking up in the middle of the night thinking of great ideas and wanting to apply that to work, but then not getting compensated properly for that. And
you just finished your first year, and that's you felt like you weren't compensated enough. So would you say that resulted to you having to live paycheck to paycheck?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I try to be really smart with my budgeting, and I'm very fortunate the upbringing that I have to have people support me. And if it wasn't for the support that I had going through college and everything, I don't think I would have been able to do what I do. And so really it's the matter of fact that I was fortunate enough to be handed the cards I was in life.
Moving on though, would you still be in the teaching field, or you're thinking of venturing off to something else because the compensation is not just there?
I'll stick with teaching for now. I really love it and it's my passion, but it definitely, I'm having to look into certain housing and things like that. And so it's a hope that I can stick with it.
I think there's a pretty big issue with that. There's a pretty big difference between like the rich and the poor in the States. Even though we are like a developed country, I feel like there's a really big problem, especially with like healthcare and like getting access to resources.
Do you think we will ever get to the stage where people don't have to wait for the next paycheck to be able to cover the things that are necessary?
I think we are moving like steps towards achieving that, but I don't know if it will be like completely possible. Like there's nowhere in the world that's like completely like equal. So.
Do you live paycheck to paycheck?
I don't.
That's good. You rich, right?
I'm not rich. Right now I'm working, but also my parents do help me support.
Fist bump.
Because I think, especially in the U.S., we're very much like a consumer culture. So I feel like a lot of people just spend their money right when they get it. So they're always waiting for the next paycheck to come in to be able to pay their taxes and stuff. I do not. I live off of my parents. I'm 17 still.
Okay. All right. Cool.
A lot of people either got it made or they're like kind of trapping and like trying to just out here kind of, I mean, there's kind of a lot of people who are kind of cooked out here. So like I'm feeling like there's a lot of stuff, a lot of varieties.
So when you say cooked though, what does that mean?
Cooked is like when you're like not like the man, you know, like you're trying to be market man, but you're not quite there. So it's just like a term for like someone who's not really like that.
I think the main cost of living, you know, should be able to cover, I would say, a vast majority of people. But as prices have gone up, but it seems that wages aren't going up at the same pace, I would say that probably 40 to 50% find themselves in a place of paycheck to paycheck.
Well, it's actually 58%.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Some people are like 80, 82.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, that's too much.
That's quite high, but I kind of would expect that, because I'd imagine there'd be like, you know, the middle classes would be doing all right, and they won't be paycheck to paycheck. They would definitely feel the pinch, for sure. But I would definitely say that kind of smaller bracket that may have been 25% before has probably grown into that 40, 50%.
I don't know, because I want to say a lower number, and that is a little bit lower than 50, but I know that it's a very real problem across America, so I don't know. I feel like that's an educated guess.
It's 58%.
Jesus, yeah.
Do you think that sounds about right with everything going on?
Oh, I mean, it doesn't sound right, but it sounds like it makes sense, I guess, with what's going on. Yeah.
What do you think some of the things that are contributing to that might be?
I think there's a lot of things. I mean, a lot of the things we need on a day-to-day basis is expensive as hell, like insurance and medical care. I mean, those go hand in hand, but I don't know. I know there's a lot of programs too that have been like cut out recently that are making it harder on people, but I'm not really sure.
I don't know. It was just the first number that came into my head.
Okay. You said what?
60.
Why?
Honestly, I don't know. I think that's about the proportion.
You?
Probably like 60, 65.
60, 65. Why do you say so?
Just about everybody I work with, they're living paycheck to paycheck.
Do you live paycheck to paycheck?
Yes.
Okay, how about you?
I think like 70 at closest. It's got to be a lot. Like TV kind of over-exaggerates how many people can like live off their paychecks. So I mean, you know, I feel like it's got to be close to 70.
Why do you think that's the case? Why do you think so many people are living paycheck to paycheck based off of the percentages you gave?
Honestly, I guess with just like the price increase nowadays, and just honestly, employers aren't paying enough. I'm gonna be real with you. Like some employees aren't paying enough for living needs and everything.
That and like I feel like there's a lack of knowledge of how to deal with your money. You aren't taught that in school. You aren't taught about taxes or any of that stuff. You kind of thrown out into the real world, and that's just what you got to deal with.
It's all the rich people up top flooding the market with all that money. It's incidentally flooding everyone else's market by bringing it up, but it's not proportional to how much the people up top are going up.
Yeah, it's definitely got to do with the money knowledge and just what's the word? Minimum wage hasn't really been raised in a while, or at least in general for like a lot of people. So.
Well, the percentage is actually 58%. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it sounds about right?
Yeah.
Because cost of living's a lot, and I feel like majority of us are, but I think some people have flexibility because a lot of people are starting to have multiple sources of incomes.
I think it's around 50-50, right? It's like there's a maybe half, and then maybe a little bit less than half. That's how I kind of figured it out.
The number is 58.
Oh, I'm close.
So yeah, so does it make sense? Does it make sense?
Yeah, I feel like majority of people, yes. I think has gone lower just because of that most people have.
Okay.
Right. I also think that like the reason behind why I estimated a bit less than 50 is because, okay, this is just an opinion, right? So okay, it seems like after COVID, yeah, like a lot of people like lost their jobs and other unfortunate events. So I'm guessing that after the welfare checks, like people, of course, some people say that's not nearly enough, and that makes sense given the circumstances. But I felt that maybe the amount of checks that the government has given out has maybe like decreased the number a bit of like.
All right.
Well, I just think there are a lot of people that are not, living within their means. I mean, and it just is every time a paycheck comes in, they're in
I
need.
don't think it means poverty. I think there's a lot of people living beyond their means. Maybe credit cards are maxed out, and so whether they're driving nice cars, nice homes, or whatever, they could be living paycheck to paycheck, right?
Do you think it's that they're not enlightened enough to live within their means, or it's maybe infrastructure problem? Maybe like there are not enough jobs out there, the job insecurity, with the layoffs happening and all that. What do you think some of the causes for that are?
Well, there's probably an element of that for sure, that there's layoffs in jobs, but I also think there's probably an element that I just think Americans want and want and want.
It's environmental. I think there's a lot of people just their aspirations are greater than their funds. So
yeah, well, it was 58%.
That's right. Wow.
Yeah, 58.
Okay, we'll see. I was close.
All right, guys, and that's it for this episode this week. I appreciate you guys watching to this point. It means so much to me. So make sure you guys share this video, like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments below what you think. I know you already heard the answers, but tell me more in depth your thoughts and why you thought that was the answer, or if you thought otherwise, tell me why. Again, I'm going to catch you guys next week, Wednesday, for another episode. As I always say, let's learn to use our words as opposed to weapons to communicate with one another. Please be gentle and love one another. God bless, and I love you guys.